The Young and the Restless, a war between generations. Victor Newman, the ruthless and calculating patriarch of the Newman family, has long been the power behind many of Genoa City's most significant events. But his control is now facing a serious challenge in the form of his granddaughter, Claire Newman, and her evolving relationship with Kyle Abbott. With every passing day, the friction between the two family dynasties grows, setting the stage for a fierce battle, the outcome of which may have dangerous consequences for all involved. The tension began when Claire, after months of keeping her personal life under wraps, made a bold decision to pursue a relationship with Kyle Abbott, the charming yet unpredictable son of Jack Abbott. Their relationship quickly accelerated, and the two began discussing the possibility of moving in together. For Victor, this was a step too far. His grip on his family's future, especially the future of his granddaughter, was now under threat. Claire's growing connection to Kyle, a member of the Abbott family, whom Victor has always seen as a rival, was something Victor could not simply ignore. It was no surprise when Victor, upon learning about their intentions, summoned Audra to his office with a cold, calculating look in his eyes. His orders were clear. He would do whatever it took to keep Claire from making such a disastrous decision. "Do not let this relationship take root," Victor said, his voice steady but dripping with intent. "Claire must understand the gravity of her choices. I want her to know that this is not just a family issue, it's a matter of business. If she continues down this path, there will be consequences. Find a way to stop it." Audra, ever the loyal ally, nodded in agreement. Her mind began racing as she devised a strategy that would set Claire on a different course, one where she would choose family over a dangerous, temporary romance. As Claire and Kyle continued their whirlwind romance, Kyle tried to maintain a sense of practicality amidst all the chaos. Aware of Victor's growing disapproval, he began to consider solutions that would allow him and Claire to be together without inciting further wrath from Victor. In a moment of quiet reflection, Kyle proposed an idea that seemed simple enough at first. Claire should temporarily move in with him at the Abbott mansion. "We can stay at the mansion while we look for a place of our own," Kyle suggested one evening, his voice filled with optimism. "It's just a short-term solution, Claire. We don't have to make any long-term commitments right now. It'll give us time to figure things out." Claire, hesitant but willing to consider it, agreed. However, something about the idea didn't sit right with her. While Kyle saw it as a temporary fix, Claire knew deep down that Victor would take any sign of proximity between her and Kyle as an affront. Her decision to move in with Kyle, even just for a short while, would surely escalate tensions to an unbearable level. "I'm not sure this is the right move, Kyle," Claire said, her voice soft but tinged with uncertainty. "I don't think Victor will ever accept it. I'll just be giving him more fuel for his fire." Kyle was quick to reassure her. "It's just temporary, Claire. You'll see. Once we find a place, everything will calm down. You can move in with me for now. It'll be okay." Despite Kyle's reassurances, Claire's instincts were telling her that this was a decision that could backfire in ways neither of them had anticipated. Moving into the Abbott mansion would only make the situation more volatile. She knew it would drive Victor insane, and the last thing she wanted was to be caught in the middle of her grandfather's rage. Victor, as expected, wasted no time in reacting to Kyle's suggestion. Audra, who had been tasked with keeping Claire under control, reported back to him with the details of Kyle's plan. Victor's face twisted with fury as he processed the news. "Absolutely not," Victor declared, slamming his fist onto his desk. "I won't allow Claire to move in with that Abbott boy. This is a battle for her future, and I will not let her throw it all away on some temporary nonsense. I've worked too hard to build this empire for her to jeopardize it with this reckless behavior." But Claire, determined not to be manipulated by her grandfather, was resolute. She would not allow Victor to dictate her every decision. She loved Kyle, and she was not about to let her family, especially Victor, destroy that love just because of a few decades-old rivalries between the Newman and Abbott families. Claire began to push back, taking a more defiant stand against Victor's authority. The more he tried to control her, the more she pushed back, digging in her heels and refusing to back down. She knew it was going to be difficult, but she wasn't going to let Victor have his way this time. In a pivotal confrontation, Claire confronted Victor at the Newman ranch, her eyes blazing with determination. "I'm not a little girl anymore, Grandpa," she said, her voice shaking with emotion. "I'm not going to let you dictate my life just because you don't like Kyle. You can't control me anymore. I'll make my own decisions, and if that means going against you, then so be it." Victor's eyes narrowed, his expression cold. "You think you can defy me, Claire? You think you can stand up to me and get away with it? I built this family. I built this empire. And I will not let you ruin everything I've worked for. If you continue down this path, you'll regret it." The anger and hurt in Claire's eyes only intensified. "You don't get to control me anymore, Victor. I love Kyle, and nothing you say will change that." It was clear that the battle between them was escalating. And what was once a war of words was quickly becoming a war of action. Victor's fury boiled over, and he began to take more drastic measures to keep Claire from making any decisions that would take her further away from him. His orders to Audra became more insistent and even more personal. It was no longer about controlling Claire's choices, it was about breaking her spirit and forcing her to see things his way. But Claire was no longer the naive young woman Victor had once known. She had grown, and she had a life of her own. And she would fight tooth and nail to protect the love she had found in Kyle, even if it meant facing the full wrath of her grandfather. In the days that followed, the tension between Victor and Claire continued to escalate, with neither side willing to back down. And as their confrontation reached its boiling point, it became clear that the consequences of their battle would be far-reaching, and possibly fatal. Claire's defiance would not go unpunished. Victor, driven by a mix of rage and desperation, would stop at nothing to regain control of the situation. And in the process, he might just push his granddaughter too far, forcing her to take actions that no one could predict. The conflict between Victor and Claire was no longer just a family squabble. It had become a life-or-death struggle, one that could lead to unimaginable consequences. If the battle for Claire's future continued to escalate, it was anyone's guess who would survive the fallout. Would it be Claire and her love for Kyle, or would Victor's unyielding need for control destroy them all? One thing was for certain, the Newman family's legacy was about to be forever changed. In Genoa City, where power, wealth, and legacy are everything, Victor Newman has always been a towering figure. His influence is unmatched, and his control over his family is absolute, until now. For his granddaughter, Claire Newman, the time has come to break free from his iron grip. With her relationship with Kyle Abbott growing stronger by the day, Claire faces a crucial decision: to stand up for herself and her choices or remain in the shadows of Victor's overwhelming presence. The battle ahead is not just about love, it's about her identity, her autonomy, and her future. As Claire contemplates the next steps in her relationship with Kyle, the internal conflict begins to take a toll. She knows that Victor will never accept her decision to live with Kyle, especially after their rapid progression from casual acquaintances to an inseparable couple. Claire can feel the weight of her grandfather's impending wrath, and as the tension builds, she realizes that avoiding the conversation will only make things worse. Despite her deep understanding of the consequences, Claire's heart is set on her future with Kyle. She knows that communicating her intentions to Victor, no matter how difficult, is the only way forward. She cannot keep hiding, and though she feels apprehensive about the fallout, she must take the first step toward asserting her independence. The dilemma, Claire's internal struggle. Claire's mind races as she weighs her options. Victor's authoritarian nature has never allowed her the luxury of making her own decisions. Every move she makes, especially one as significant as choosing to live with someone outside of the Newman family, has been met with his disapproval. She has always tried to please him, hoping to earn his affection, but now she realizes that it's impossible to live her life according to his rigid rules. Yet, despite her resolve, Claire finds herself hesitating. The thought of facing Victor's fury, of witnessing the betrayal in his eyes, fills her with dread. The idea of openly defying him, of shattering the last semblance of their relationship, feels almost insurmountable. She knows she must confront him, but the emotional toll is immense. Victor has always been a pillar in her life, and to challenge him so directly feels like an enormous leap into the unknown. But Claire has reached her breaking point. She knows that continuing to live in Victor's shadow, especially when it comes to her love life, will only leave her feeling suffocated and resentful. For the first time, she is determined to live for herself, to make her own choices and to refuse to be controlled by someone who doesn't understand her heart. The catalyst, Nikki's intervention as Claire wrestles with her internal battle, the truth about her relationship with Kyle inevitably comes to light. Victoria Newman, Claire's mother, has become increasingly concerned about her daughter's choice, and while she may not fully approve of the speed at which Claire is moving forward with Kyle, she understands her daughter's need for independence. Victoria has always been a fierce protector of Claire, but she also knows how difficult it is to challenge Victor, especially when it involves something so personal. In the midst of this emotional turmoil, Nikki Newman, Victor's longtime wife and Claire's trusted confidant, steps in to offer support. Nikki, who has witnessed the destructive power of Victor's control firsthand, understands what Claire is going through better than anyone. While she has had her own share of struggles with Victor, Nikki's position in the family allows her to be the voice of reason Claire desperately needs. Nikki knows that confronting Victor will be a monumental task, but she also knows that if anyone can help Claire navigate this storm, it's her. Nikki, with her wisdom and diplomatic approach, is determined to help Claire find the strength to communicate her decision without backing down. Claire, Nikki says gently during one of their private conversations, "I know how much you love your grandfather. But you need to stand firm. He may be the patriarch of the family, but your life is your own. You have the right to choose who you want to be with, and you have the right to live on your own terms." Claire nods, feeling the comfort of Nikki's words. She realizes that, with Nikki's support, she might just be able to face Victor head-on. Nikki becomes Claire's anchor in the storm, guiding her through the steps of confronting Victor without losing herself in the process. The breaking point. The confrontation with Victor. With Nikki's encouragement, Claire decides that the time has come to speak to Victor. She arranges a meeting with him, her nerves fluttering as she prepares to face the inevitable backlash. Kyle, aware of the gravity of the situation, offers his support but knows that this battle is ultimately one Claire must face on her own. Claire steps into Victor's office, the tension in the air palpable. Victor looks up from his desk, his eyes narrowing as he studies her, already sensing that something is amiss. "Claire," Victor begins in his usual commanding tone, "I trust this meeting has a purpose. You know how much I value our family's legacy. I hope you're not planning anything that will jeopardize it." Claire takes a deep breath, her voice steady but firm. "Grandpa, I've made my decision. Kyle and I are moving in together. This is something I want, and it's something I need to do for myself. I know you don't approve, but I can't keep living my life based on your expectations." Victor's face hardens. His anger flares, but beneath it lies a flicker of disbelief. He cannot fathom that his granddaughter, the one he's nurtured and protected, would defy him in such a monumental way. "You're making a mistake, Claire," Victor says, his voice cold. "You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. This is not just about you and Kyle, this is about the family. If you go down this path, don't think I won't act." Claire's heart pounds in her chest, but she refuses to back down. "I don't need your approval, Victor. I need you to understand that I am an adult now. I will live my life the way I see fit." The tension between them is suffocating. Claire can feel the weight of Victor's disappointment, but she knows that this moment is her turning point. She is finally standing up for herself, for the woman she wants to become. The fallout, a war of words and actions. Victor's anger only deepens as he processes the finality in Claire's words. He has always been a man who controls everything around him, and the thought that Claire is slipping away from his grasp is an affront to his very existence. He tries to reason with her, but his words fall on deaf ears. "I will never accept this," Victor warns. Kyle Abbott is not good enough for you. He doesn't belong in our family. But Claire stands firm, her voice unwavering. I'm not asking for your approval, Victor. I'm asking for your understanding. I'm not a pawn in your game anymore. As the confrontation reaches its boiling point, both sides realize that this battle is far from over. Claire, empowered by her own resolve and Nikki's guidance, has taken the first step toward claiming her independence. But Victor, unwilling to let go of control, is not about to let Claire go without a fight. The war between Claire and Victor is only just beginning, and the consequences of this clash will be felt throughout the entire Newman family. Can Claire maintain her defiance, or will Victor's ruthless pursuit of power tear her apart? Only time will tell. As the storm rages on, Claire must prepare for the battle of her life. One that will not only test her love for Kyle but also her determination to live on her own terms, no matter the cost. The young and the restless, Victor's war on Claire and Kyle. The power dynamics within the Newman family have always been complex, but with Victor Newman's control over his family starting to slip, the upcoming battle for Claire Newman's independence will send shockwaves through Genoa City. Claire's decision to live with Kyle Abbott is the tipping point in a long-simmering feud, and now, the stakes are higher than ever. As Victor prepares to take drastic actions to maintain his hold over the family, Nikki Newman's attempts to mediate only add fuel to the fire. The question on everyone's mind, will Victor succeed in destroying Claire's relationship with Kyle, or will his ruthless tactics backfire in a way no one can predict? The catalyst. Claire's defiance and Victor's reaction. Claire Newman has spent much of her life living under the shadow of her grandfather, Victor Newman. His expectations have shaped nearly every aspect of her existence, from her career choices to her relationships. But with her relationship with Kyle Abbott deepening, Claire has come to a difficult decision. It's time to choose her own path, even if that means defying Victor. When Claire shares her decision with her mother, Victoria, she already knows what's coming. Victor is not one to take such a challenge lightly, especially when it involves a family member choosing to live with a man from the Abbott family, a family that Victor has always considered a rival. Despite her hesitation, Claire chooses to announce her choice. She knows that keeping it a secret from Victor is no longer an option. His need for control is pervasive, and Claire is determined to assert her independence, but the fallout from her choice is inevitable. Nikki, ever the mediator in the family, recognizes that the confrontation between Victor and Claire will be explosive. However, she also knows that it's inevitable. With Claire's future on the line, Nikki feels compelled to step in and try to mitigate the situation. As Claire prepares to confront Victor, Nikki takes it upon herself to inform her husband about what's happening. Victor, you need to understand that Claire is no longer a little girl. She's made her decision, Nikki says, her voice calm but firm. She's chosen to live with Kyle, and you need to respect her choice. This is about her independence, not about you losing control. Victor, however, is far from receptive. The news sends him into a fury, as he cannot fathom Claire making a decision without his consent. His mind races, strategizing how he can bend this situation to his will. The fact that Claire has chosen Kyle Abbott, someone Victor has always seen as a threat, only intensifies his anger. No, Victor responds coldly, his eyes narrowing. She's made a terrible mistake, Nikki. And Kyle is the one to blame. He's manipulated her into this decision. I will not sit idly by while this happens. She is a Newman, and she will follow the path I set for her. The battle begins. Victor's retaliation. Victor's fury is only the beginning. He's determined to break the bond between Claire and Kyle, and he quickly identifies Kyle as the main obstacle. To Victor, Kyle is the instigator, the one who has pulled Claire away from the family's control, and he needs to be dealt with swiftly. But Victor isn't just going to let Claire make her decision unchallenged, he is going to take drastic measures. Victor's first move is to summon Audra, his trusted ally who has been involved in many of his business dealings. Audra has always been willing to do whatever it takes to please Victor, but this mission will be a test of her loyalty. Victor demands that she break up Claire and Kyle, and he gives her an ultimatum: do it quickly, or he will end their working relationship. "You will do this for me, Audra," Victor commands, his tone icy. "I don't care how you do it, but you will make sure that Claire and Kyle are no longer together. If you fail, I will end our partnership. There's no room for failure in this family." Audra, recognizing the gravity of the situation, knows that this task won't be easy. She has witnessed the way Claire and Kyle have grown closer, and she knows that breaking them apart will require more than just a few words. But Victor's threats and the potential rewards of succeeding push her into action. She begins to strategize how best to infiltrate the couple's relationship and undermine their bond.